guys. Great. I just started this video and my battery's dying. Oh my gosh, I know it's been a while since we've had a sit down video. It only took me 7.5 months to film this, but better late than never, and I wanted to talk about my birthing experience. T! Hi, buddy. T! Hi, cutie pie. Oh, your hair's all messed up. So let's talk about it. I know a lot of people say like, oh, I was in labor for X amount of hours. Unfortunately, I can't say how long I was in labor for because I don't truly know. All I know is I wasn't feeling anything the week prior. I wasn't getting any like mucus plug, nothing at all was happening until August 18th. Now, let me just back up and talk about my due date. So I had 2 different doctors to start out because I moved in between my pregnancies. So when I first started out, well, when I first found out I was pregnant, I did it at Planned Parenthood. Love Planned Parenthood. They do everything and I've been going to them for so long. The pregnancy, I think it's called like the pregnancy certification paper or something. It's basically like a paper that literally confirms the pregnancy. On there, they actually put the expected due date of August 19th. And they were basing that off of the size of the fetus. Then when I met with my doctor, which a horrible experience. The first doctor I had completely sucked. Doctor, the first round, said after like the Planned Parenthood thing, they said, oh no, your due date's August 14th. So my entire pregnancy, I thought it was August 14th because the doctor said that, you know? So that's what I went off of. Now, the reason why they couldn't go off of like a missed period is because I was irregular. So like sometimes I'd get my period, sometimes I'd go months without getting it. Hence why we couldn't base it off of that. August 14 came, nothing. I wasn't showing any signs of labor at all. None whatsoever. So then, again, let me back up. When I moved, I had to completely change insurances and I had to completely change doctors. So the second doctor that I had actually had to redo everything, literally had to redo all of the blood work that was done. I had to do the 20-week scan twice. All of that just because, again, my first doctor sucked and apparently they like never sent any of my medical documents to the new doctor. New doctor came out with the due date of August 19th. And August 14 rolled around, no symptoms, no signs of early labor, nothing at all. Then August 18th comes around. Now, August 18th, I'm talking about like nighttime, like midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I did start getting contractions. And they were so painful that I couldn't sleep. I literally couldn't sleep. I tried to sleep in between the contractions and they were just really painful. However, they were painful enough for me to not like go to the hospital. Like I was just like, okay, like I'm getting it, but it goes away and then it comes back. And it was happening every 10 minutes. So it wasn't consistent. It wasn't the 511. So that's why I was like, okay, well, you know, I can't go to the hospital. It's not happening. Morning came around and I literally told my partner, like I told Terry and I told his mom, I was like, I think I have to go in because I haven't slept all night. It's very painful and like I keep getting them. But at this point they were getting further apart. Check in. I told them, hey, you know, like I'm having contractions. So they're like, oh, okay, she's in labor. It was funny because it was kind of like a big scene. Like there was people in line waiting to check into the hospital. But like Terry said like, oh, she's, you know, she has contractions or something. And then there was this one lady who was like, oh, she's having contractions. Oh, she's in labor. Oh my gosh, we gotta get her going. Like, I'm sorry you guys have to wait. Like she's in labor. And like, then they brought out like a wheelchair and they like wheeled me in and like all this drama. Like they didn't even take like my temperature or anything. They just took me straight to the labor and delivery. They said like, we're gonna check you out basically for like 2 hours. They're like, we're gonna see what's going on, how, you know, how big the contractions are, blah, blah, blah. But again, during that whole time that I was there, it was like 2 hours. I only got 2 contractions and they weren't even that bad. And then they did check me and I was only 1 centimeter dilated. So they were like, okay, we can either take you in since you are a centimeter dilated, or you can go home, up to you. So I was like, okay, let's just go home. But because my whole thing was, I didn't want to get an epidural if I didn't have to. I wanted to like go completely natural, you know, like just do it all myself. I did take Lamaze classes when I was pregnant. I did the whole breathing exercises, which I was doing when I was getting the contractions. I was doing the breathing exercises. And also my dear friend Ariel, she made up some mantras for me to say, not mantras or chanted, I don't know, mantras to say while I was getting the contractions. They were so on point and they definitely came in handy. It was just very helpful and very thankful for that. Originally I did want to do a water birth. I would have loved that, to do like an at-home water birth situation. I actually found a really great facility though, and it wasn't going to be at home. It was a facility, they use essential oils and candles, and they have like a big like rock salt like spa tub and stuff. It was beautiful. Unfortunately, they didn't take my insurance and it would have been too much money out of pocket to do so. But anyways, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be as holistic as possible. No pain meds, nothing, just wanted to do it. But anyways, so I did tell the nurse, I was like, okay, I'll go home and I'll labor at home because that's what I wanted to do anyways. And nighttime rolls around and same thing happened again. I was getting contractions every 10 minutes. I wasn't getting any sleep. I couldn't rest. I again was saying the mantras to myself the whole time and it was painful. It would last about like 30 seconds, I would say. Again, it was just like every 10 minutes apart. At some parts it got to like 6 minutes, but generally it was like 10 minutes apart. So then again, next morning I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is too painful. Like, I gotta go in. Like, I'm gonna tell them to induce me. Like, I can't take another night of this. Like, another night of not sleeping and just being in pain. Because they always tell you, you want to rest as much as possible before the actual baby comes. I was so dead set. I was like, I don't care. Like, I want to get induced. I want to get induced. Like, I'm gonna tell them I want to get induced because this is just really painful for me. Terry's mom was like, okay, let's just, you know, let's time out your contractions and see how close they are. And during the morning I was still getting them. They were about like 6 minutes apart and they were lasting like 45 seconds. So like it was pretty consistent and it wasn't going away and it was obviously painful. And then we just looked up things that I could eat or take or something to like get it going more. I remember I like had Gatorade, I had pineapples, obviously raspberry leaf tea. I did try taking a bath as well during the middle of the night, and let me just say, I know people say it's supposed to help with the pains. It didn't help with the pains. I just wanted to get out of the bathtub and I just wanted to curl up into a ball. Eventually they were 5 minutes apart for a minute straight and it was consistent for an hour. So then we were like, okay, round 2, let's go to the hospital. It was not as dramatic, but it was very, very painful. And this was the following day, which was August 19th, on his due date. They checked me in again and they checked me, and this time I was 3 to 4 centimeters dilated. So it was definitely happening. Like the nurses kept saying, baby's gonna come today. And I was like, okay, like this is happening, just when is he gonna come? So I did get like 2 different like staff of nurses, because obviously like the morning round goes and then the nighttime comes, and I just remember how amazing the staff was. Someone's just working a job to work the job, and someone who this is their career and this is their true passion and they have a genuine care for it. They had asked me, they're like, okay, so like what's your birth plan? What do you want to do? And I told them, I was like, I don't want to take the epidural if I don't have to. I was like, but if the contractions are only gonna get painful, it's fine. We let like a couple of hours go by, and then I was around like 6 centimeters dilated when I was like, okay, I would like the epidural now. Whole thing was kind of a lot and a little bit of intense. It's not what I expected, because at one point I feel like there was like there was just like a lot of staff in the room at one point, because it was the anesthesiologist for the epidural, it was the COVID test taker, and it all happened at like the same time. And then there was just the regular nurses. And I think what freaked me out was when the COVID person came in completely suited up, like from those characters from like Monsters Inc., you know, like the ones that had to like spray everything down. That's why I got like a little bit freaked out. Yeah, they put like a catheter, and what else? I think they did give me like something to speed up the labor a little bit, because it did slow down after I got the epidural. Around like 8 p.m. or so, I did get a fever. I started getting like the chills, and I was shaky, and I was very cold, but they actually checked my temperature and I had a fever. I don't know if that's like a symptom from the epidural. I heard it could be, but we couldn't figure it out. And that's actually what made me stay at the hospital for like another extra 2 days, because they wanted to make sure the baby didn't have an infection, that I didn't have an infection, and we didn't. Everything turned out fine. Yeah, it was just a lot for your body. So I think that's what it was. Like, I just had anxiety. I actually did have to take my inhaler a couple times, just because I was like anxietied out, and the nurses were like, is that normal? Do you take medication for that? And I was like, no, like it just happens sometimes, and I just breathe it out and stuff. So around 10 p.m. or I would say like 9:30, I don't know, I have no idea what time it was, but I just remember feeling a lot of pressure down there. Like pressure, like I wasn't pushing, but little T was definitely pushing. He was like, I could feel him moving. Like I couldn't feel pain, but I could feel pressure of probably his head, like literally moving, and like I could almost feel like the tip of his head like crowning essentially. More with each contraction, I felt him pushing more and more and more. So then eventually they were like, when you feel like you can't not push, that like call us, and that's when we're gonna like get started on the actual pushing. And I was like, okay. So they did. The doctor came in, and he was wearing a face shield and everything. It was really funny, because they were like, they checked me, and he was like, oh my gosh, like the head's right there. Like one of the nurses said that, and I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, oh, you can see his hair. And I was like, you can? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, do you want to feel it? And I mean, I just felt grossed out, because like I don't want to feel it. I don't know, I didn't want to feel with his head. I know it was gonna be slimy and gross, but then like she's like, you don't want to feel your child's head? In my head I was like, well, when you put it that way, obviously I want to touch my child's head. So then she like grabbed my hand and she like put it there, and it was gross and slimy. And actually on the doctor's face shield, there was like a big light or something, and I could see the reflection, and I could see his little slimy head literally crowning. And I was like, oh my god, it's like really there. And literally it took 15 minutes, and boom, this little sucker was out. It was definitely not painful at all. It was just more pressure, and it was definitely an experience. I will say, I don't know if it's just me, but when they put him on me for the skin to skin contact, like he literally like smelled like my insides basically, and he was just so slimy, and I wasn't expecting the smell. I was expecting the sliminess, but I wasn't expecting the smell. It was, regardless, it was such a nice experience, except for like the anxiety part, because I did feel at that point like I felt almost like a little girl who like just wanted her mommy, if that makes sense. Like I only had Terry there, which that's also another thing of being like having a birthing process and like only being able to have one person in the room. I feel like I definitely would have wanted like another female person. That was my birthing experience. I'm curious to see how different it'll be with my next child. Hi. Say hi. I was inside my mommy's belly. Yes, you were for a whole 9 months. Yeah. And now here's my little munchkin 7.5 months later with 3 teeth. This is it. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll talk soon. Say bye. Say bye. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.